periods. Like on the days I didn't have, that was usually a study hall class. So fill study hall with something that's actually beneficial, as opposed to just a period where a kid's going to put his head down and take a nap in the middle of the day. Or like I said, now pull out their phone. Why aren't they in a financial literacy class? Why aren't they in a home ec class? And by home ec, I'm not saying that's for women. I want men and women in there. All your little sons need to learn how to cook a box of macaroni and cheese, should know how to do a load of laundry, vacuum a home. Like, why not teach
Yeah, your
people
wife might not be home.
Or you might not have a wife, or that might keep you from getting a wife that drives you crazy. Like if a man is self-sufficient, maybe he doesn't jump into the first relationship that, comes his way, the first piece of that falls on the couch. And a woman can then, if she can fix a light, if she can, change a tire, she's not looking to your son to be Prince Charming. You know what I mean? Like, or she's not fed the narrative that's
how
what she needs.
Let's not get into this.
No, but
but yes, you're absolutely right. These things need to be taught. Why aren't they teaching you how to count money in math? Why isn't your problem based on, okay, I make $500 a week and my apartment is this and my electric bill is this and it's a math problem. It's all a fucking math problem.
I'm just saying, don't dumb down like math class. I think that needs to be a separate situation. Like those are all very real life skills, or that's a basic math that you should be getting.
I'm talking about early education. Okay, I'm not talking about high school. Early education, they don't get the core. If you don't get the core, these things, all these things, how Congress works, how the Senate works, who the president is, all that stuff.
Lenny, I was going to say, I don't believe that they're not teaching that. I just don't think people give a shit. Like, I don't think parents are going out and voting. I don't think parents are engaged civically. I don't think that it is a priority to kids. So they go to school, they sit down, they get taught something. Like you said, they get taught whatever they need to know to pass that year's standardized test. So we're sitting here complaining about Florida. Florida has the 9th best education record in the country. 9th.
Yeah, but we're like 200th in the world, so.
I get that, but my point is they're 9th. And so I'm sitting here and I think Florida's education system is trash and we're 9th. So imagine if we're in the top 10, what it's like if you're in 10. Why don't we have banks in actual schools? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, why, with all the banking industry bullshit that's going on, that should have been one of their, when you have to go and you have to put a branch in every public high school in the country. You need to hire kids to be tellers. Like, at least when they graduate high school, they could actually come out and go get a job at an actual bank. But every kid should be given a bank book. They don't even know you don't have to know how to balance a checkbook anymore because nobody has checkbooks. But you still need to know that every time you swipe your little debit card, that's coming out of somewhere.
Yeah, now the government knows every penny you spend.
I get that, but yeah, the government knows and people don't. Yeah. Like if I went and I asked a dozen people right now on the street what their bank account balance is, I bet you they couldn't tell me.
I believe you.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there was a time when you probably could have told me to the penny what you had in your bank account because you had to balance your shit. Yeah. How do you teach kids to value money, whether they like?
Well, I'll tell you what my thought on school is and teaching you to value. School is a job for these kids. That's what they're doing. We're putting them to work in kindergarten. They have to do this work so that they can get this smiley face, or they can, in 3rd grade, get this A, B, C. That's their job. That's what they're learning. This is you do the work, you get the grade, or you get consequences from that grade. And what's happening in public school now is not that. School is now, little Johnny didn't finish his homework. No problem. We'll let little Johnny go on. There's no consequences for any kids in school at all. But if you don't have consequences growing up, if you don't get your ass whooped or soap in the mouth or on a paper that holds you back a grade, you're never going to have consequences. But you can't blame that on the kids. A lot of that has to do with the parents. You've got these wackadoodle parents out there that don't want to accept the fact that their kid is an F student. And also, on the flip side of that, don't want to put the work in at home to helping that child no longer be an F student. So then they go and they berate the teacher. You can't fail my kid, blah, 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 blah. I get it. So
you're a socialist.
So
you're a communist.
Where does the spine come in? Does the school say, look, your kid has to do better, or we're going to send them to another school? Or do we just pander to the parents and let the kid go through?
Across the board, this country is suffering as far as education goes. We used to be top tier, top 3 in everything: science, mathematics, literature. If you were talking about Nobel Peace Prize winners and things like that, the likelihood of them coming from the American school system, whether it was elementary or higher education, was pretty high. And now they're graduating from our incredible universities, but they're not necessarily starting off in this country. You know what I'm saying? They're not, they're coming from other places to take advantage, but it's unfortunate because many Americans can't. And it's not because we're not letting them in, it's because they're not qualified. You know what I mean? Like, other people are just more qualified to be accepted.
Smarter.
Yeah. With that being said, though, like, it's a recurring theme on this show. Like, we're over here wasting time banning books, right? Why are we so concerned with what we want to take away from our education system when we should be concerned with what we're pouring into it? That, to me, is the real question. You're sitting here wasting valuable resources. Like, these are teachers. Every teacher had to clear out. You remember this, right? K through 3rd grade. Every K through 3rd grade teacher had to remove their libraries, their libraries in their classrooms, and submit every book they had for approval to this board, right? We're understaffed with teachers in this state by like thousands of teachers. We need thousands more teachers to actually accommodate the number of students that we have. And yet we are pulling people away from this to read through The Cat in the Hat and Little Susie Went to the Market and whatever else to make sure.
And make an opinion based on their beliefs.
I know you're big on, like, as a parent, you feel that it's your right to decide when, where, and how certain topics are broached, certain conversations are had with your children, right? So if a child happens to bring home a book that then them to ask you questions that you feel are inappropriate for their age, again, I go back to the teachable learning moment for all parties involved. A, Susie, this is not a book that you should be reading. I'm going to have a conversation with your teacher about this. And B, we will talk about that. Like, at that point in time, as a parent, again, that's your opinion. Like, that's, some other parent may be like, oh, let's have this conversation. Sit down. Let's get into it now,
absolutely.
right? And maybe you just feel like you're not equipped at that moment, or that's just not something that you want your child to even be contemplating or thinking about.
Or that a child should be thinking about. Are there any kids on the planet that should be talking about sexuality prior to years old? Since it's just my opinion with my kids.
What music are you allowing them to listen to? Like, I mean,
listen,
what are they looking at who are they looking up to? Who do they want to be like?
My kids didn't have cell phones or social media till they were 12.
But that's not keeping them off of a computer. That's not keeping them away from the friends who do have access. That's not keeping them away from older brothers and sisters.
No, of course.
Cousins.
It's going to slip in there somewhere. I watched Debbie Does Dallas when I was
Well, I mean, but there's 10 Miley Cyrus. Remember when she was Hannah Montana? Like, so now when Hannah Montana ends up at the VMAs on a stripper pole or whatever award show that was.
We're talking about school.
I get
we're
that.
Talking about
but
school,
this is all. But guess what? Your children spend more time at school than they often do at home. So when they're out of your, when they're out of your presence, what are they listening to? Who are they around? Like, your kids are in school. That 10-year-old is around a 13-year-old. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,